there's so much behind the scene context. Some of it I fully am aware of and I understand, and some of it I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
That it is just, it's so, bro, it's so many twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to, when it first started, make a post and just say, just in general, the loudest person gets paid attention to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the quietest person always is deemed as the most guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a general principle that can be applied to anything.
Right.
But just like,
well, sometimes it can be the reverse too, though. Like, you know, how some people say that silence is consent. So sometimes by not saying, and I'm not saying you have to defend yourself in every situation. We know, even according to the word, that Christ didn't, you know, speak up and say things all the time. But I'm just saying, you know, sometimes people can also say, you know, silence is consent. So by someone not addressing something, especially as serious as the allegations are and all that, I understand that. But by somebody not by someone not addressing something and saying or speaking their piece, or just being straight up and just shutting it completely down, it can make one think, even one like myself, but any other the hundreds of thousands of people that were that did, you know, follow EX Ministries or yeah, right. So I'm saying, like, for us, we kind of like, okay, we seeing this stuff come up, you know, like, is it true, is it not? And then kind of by it kind of being, and which I understand like when it comes to the internet, we can say, okay, it could be hearsay, or how do you know if this stuff is true, or blah blah blah, this or that. But then I guess the more and more that you may hear whatever you're hearing, and then if it seems to be backed up factual, or if people are saying the same exact stuff and all this stuff, for me or whomever else may be listening or looking at the situation from this, I guess, objective type of perspective, it's like, okay, like, is this stuff true? Like, is it not true? Why isn't it being addressed? And then it kind of leaves you in limbo a little bit, you know, thinking like, should I continue to support this ministry? Should I not continue to support this ministry? And don't get me wrong, I understand that prayer works, and prayer should be utilized in every situation. And we should pray, you know, fervently, like the Bible tells us to. But in the same respect, I know that we have a brain, we have you know, the unction of the Holy Spirit and all of that stuff. So if you may be feeling one type of way about something and thinking like, hey, is this stuff true? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I done brought every DVD that G. Craige has produced, everyone that I was even going to buy this Truth Behind Hip Hop 13, because I felt like every DVD that he's had, you know, it spoke to me. I even purchased your music on there. I purchased it. Like you said, I even purchased your hat and all that stuff. So I was very supportive of the ministry. But I'm gonna be honest, to hear what has been going on, and from my perspective, even though I wasn't there either when this whole thing transpired, but from my perspective, to see what's going on and to see it not really being addressed, I'm just being straight up as a man. It made me kind of scratch my head a little bit, you know, and think like, okay, why isn't this stuff being addressed? Now I understand he can do whatever he feel God is directing him to do. I get it. But someone like myself that was given to his, because I don't have a church home at this point in time, because I was skeptical about the churches that I went to. The church that I was going to for 18 years, I stopped going there some years ago because I had latched on to G. Craige's ministry, and because I felt like he was really blessing my ministry. And I haven't found a church home since, because I didn't really find the word, I guess, being up to par that I needed it to be. And it still is pretty hard. So I'm not just talking. Like I said, my mother as well have given, I mean, she's on a fixed income, has given her money, you know, time and time again. And I'm not saying this like we are due an explanation to do this or do that. I understand, like, you give how you are directed. I totally get your point. But you know what I'm saying? So I'm just being real. I'm like, every DVD came out, I didn't purchase it. I even over purchased some DVDs and shipped them to one of a good friend of mine. I actually just gave some DVDs away a couple months ago to a guy on my job. We was talking, because usually I don't even talk G. Craige. I don't say anything about his ministry, because I saw, I guess from what I was thinking, his ministry was so profound that it would seem as though people would just, that ain't true, and this, that, that. So I would kind of be a little bit, I wouldn't really talk about it. But when I kind of gave them little nuggets, I would see how they would receive it, and then I'll say, okay, let me see if they'd be receptive to. I'll see if they want to watch a DVD, and I'll give them a DVD. So, like I say, I'm talking from the perspective of being a huge supporter of the ministry, and that was just my only concern, my only major concern. And this is just me from the outside looking in, because, like you said, I don't know you from a can of paint. You don't know me. Right. We just was acquaintances from the internet, and people can be whoever they want to be on the internet. But exactly. That's just how I feel about the whole matter. But yeah, I don't know. It's
and I appreciate you breaking that down, and this is why I prefer conversation. Because you can't get this context typing sometimes. I mean, it would just be too many words.
Right.
So let me say this. There's two things I want to say. First, I want to say this. So let's use the scenario that one of the scenarios is being painted, right?
Okay.
Let's say I cheated on my wife 15 years ago.
Okay.
Right, me, Jay Bryan. Let's say I cheated on my wife 15 years ago, right? And I started pastoring 10 years after I cheated on my wife. Okay, so now 9 years, 10 years later, somebody gets this information and decides to accuse me of cheating on my wife. Okay. My question to you is the first question, well, several questions. The first question is context necessary, or is that important? And what I mean by context is, does it matter when it happened? Does it matter that it's been forgiven and reconciled? Does it matter that it's already been dealt with and somebody else is putting the information back out as if it's present? Does any of that matter, or does the sin matter only?
Personally, the only reason I say I think it does matter is because of the position that you may, if you're a pastor and all that, because of the position that you're in. And this is just my opinion. So if you're preaching against, and I understand apostles and all of them preached against stuff that they may have been guilty of in their past, but they were also open about it. Not to say that G. Craige didn't say stuff to you all, during a service that wasn't recorded. I have no clue, but just from the outside looking in, I don't know. I kind of feel like I honestly do feel like it, not to say people, you have to go through your whole past, but I guess I just see, because the church that I was in, they were so transparent, so they would just kind of, as they were preaching, they would say if it's contextually meant to be said in that particular time and whatever they preaching about, they would say it. But by Craige, I guess, never really mentioning it or whatever the case may be, I guess that's where it kind of came off as a little bit not weird, but I guess that's the way it came off, the way that it came off, because it just kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere. But according to, and I'm not saying this is what I know you're using as an example, but if you're saying like, okay, this stuff happened years ago and it's being brought back up, then
let me add something in there real quick. So great point, and I don't disagree with what you're saying at all. So this is what I would do. So let me give you my stance 100%.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what's true or false.
Right.
I never asked, and I never will.
Okay.
What I can tell you in context is this stuff did not take place with him being a pastor.
Okay.
I will tell you that.
Right.
He did address the church in that manner. Right?
Okay.
Now, what I will also say is this. If I go online and I blast, right? That's how you pronounce your name, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. If I blast you, because in this conversation between me and you tell me, hey, bro, I sniffed cocaine when I was 19. And then I sniffed it again when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
I go on Facebook today and I say, crackhead, I tag your name in it. I know for a fact that he take drugs.
Mm-hmm.
there's no context.
Right.
Some of that is true, but then it's not entirely true.
Right.
Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
So in that, then you get a group of people who know you from that time that you sniffed drugs and say, yeah, I was there. Yeah, I seen them. I was right there when he bought it. Hey, he bought it from my uncle. Yeah, as a matter of fact, hey, AJ Bryan, my uncle wanted to talk to you. I talked to your uncle. Yeah, now, what they don't understand is your uncle don't like you for nothing. There's nothing you can do in this world good to your uncle. So now on top of you being a crackhead, your uncle giving me all of these bad experiences that he's ever had with you. Good, bad, or indifferent. So now I add your uncle's story to it. You see what I'm saying? So, again, bro, I hope you can hear my heart. I'm not taking up for Pastor G at all. I don't think I need to. You know what I mean? It's honestly not that deep to me. On the surface, it's deeper behind the scenes because the context, the full context of what's really happening, I could never talk about because it's not my personal business.
Right.
Just keep in mind that I'm using your uncle.
Right. No, I understand it.
So it's no longer about. It's about his uncle. It's about his kids. It's literally about everything. And to me, that's not cool. Do you think for 1 second, I am going to switch gears for a second, just for the second time. I'm going to switch gears for a second. Do you think for 1 second that all the people at ABC couldn't get online and break down all of these stories that's being told?
I mean, if they wanted to, and if they had the, I don't even say if they had the position. I won't say if they had the permission, but if they.
The only point. Hold on 1 second, my bad.
Okay.
All right, you there?
Yeah.
All right. I missed my point. What was I saying? Where did I start saying?
I think you were saying.
Oh, I got you. So what I'm saying is, let's say it's 3 negative stories.
Oh yeah, you saying about something about what
right.
Do you think that they would get on and defend? I mean,
so if 3 negative stories were videotaped and put online, which it's hundreds of them, it's actually thousands of them if you wanted to go do your due diligence. People have been hating him and EX Ministries for years. Like this is not the first. This is you know what I'm saying. So anyway, specifically dealing with what's going on now. So 3 people get up. They put videos up of their bad experience. Then 10 people from ABC come out and put up their good experience. What side do you lean on?
I have no clue.
Right, but you see what I'm saying? Like the nature of it is a bit childish. Yeah, my bad. I had pushed the side.
Yeah, I pushed the side button on my phone by mistake.
I got you. So that's interesting. So let's say, okay, then 30 more videos of negative experience pop up, then 100 videos pop up from ABC of the good experience. Okay. I've been a member for 9 years. All my experiences have not been 100%. I'm human. Leadership is human. You know what I'm saying? I walked in that church sometimes, and they didn't sing the song that I wanted to hear.
Well, let me ask this real quick. So, minus all of the sexual stuff, whatever, I can honestly say as well that I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't know. That's their personal information or whatever. But going to some of the stuff that I did hear and did see regarding how one was treated there at ABC, I did, because like I said, I was thinking of moving down there some years ago, but now I hear stuff, that happened. It kind of made me think like, well, I'm glad I didn't move. And I'm just being honest with you. I'm glad I didn't move. If this is what's going on down there, if this is how one is being treated, down there, I'm glad I didn't go, because I can't say what I would have did or would have said. Not to say that I would have cussed anybody out, because I don't talk like that, but I'm just not sure how I would have handled myself if I was probably talked to you in a way that I would have thought that was disrespectful, just coming from man to man. So, yeah, I did think of that when I heard some of the testimonies on that and how one was treated there. It did make me think, like, was this stuff really going on, or like this stuff really happened? And I saw the similarities in a lot of things that people were saying, and from my perspective or how I looked at it, I'm not even gonna say I assumed, I believe that it to be true, just because more than one person is saying the same thing. Not to say that you can't get people from the church to saying, well, everything is going good and blah, blah, blah. But then it does have me think, what if one could just be saying that or saving face just to save face, if they are kind of going through what some other people have mentioned, but they just don't want to say it. So I don't know. That's just my whole take on the attire thing. But I understand what you're saying. If it's something in someone's past and if it has no context. But I think the reason why people feel it has context is because of, I'm guessing, the sermons and stuff that people remember that was preached by Craige, and rightfully so. The stuff talking about no sex before marriage or even adultery and blah 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 and all this stuff. I get all that, but I think when it hit the fan, or when it kind of just came out, I think people kind of felt some type of way about it, just because they highly respected him and highly respected his ministry. And I'm just thinking, because like myself, I've been following EX Ministries, if I'm not mistaken, probably since about 2008 or 9. So I've been following for a minute, and I only saw him one time in person. But other than that, I just purchased the DVDs and was a heavy supporter. So for this stuff, even though I was a little questionable about some stuff that he may have said, I never questioned it. I was just like, all right, I kind of probably need to man up and, just take the word that, what he's saying. So,
So for the sake of time, and we can have more conversations, I'm cool with that. But for the sake of time and trying to keep it from bouncing all over the place, because obviously it's our first time talking. Well, not the first time. Didn't we talk like a year or two ago or something?
I think this is my first time ever talking to you on the phone. I may have reached out to you far as like wanting to move down there, and I think it was just messages that was passed, but I've never talked to you on the phone.
So let me give you my experience. When I first moved down here, I didn't have the best relationship with my family. The first thing I was told to do was mend that relationship. Now, the only reason why I'm approaching this cult part is because I think it's extremely funny that a cult. Now, bro, we have one service Sunday. And the men meet once a month, and then the women meet once a month. That's just the weirdest thing ever. But anyway, I was encouraged and given the tools to reconcile with my father. I had a lot of hurt from my childhood, right? He wasn't there.
Right.
All right. Then I was challenged as a man. I wanted to be a hip hop star. I had all of these big goals and dreams. And when I moved here, I hadn't worked in a year. My wife was working. The creation role message was given to me, completely changed my heart and mind, completely changed my wife's heart and mind. My wife grew up on the east side of Detroit, raised by all women. The main woman that influenced her after her mother passed was her auntie, who was an AKA and an Eastern Star. My wife had every tool in her being to be male dominant, straightforward, working 5 jobs. She had every tool. She literally changed. Before me a little bit. We homeschooled because after our conversation about it, she seen it best for our children. Now we agree. I'm just giving you the mindset that this was her decision. She's the one that has to be at home. Right? Going forward, me being challenged on that one income, me being challenged to be the priest, the provider, the protector of my home, something I had never seen, something I had never experienced. Just prayer, applying scripture, and being a part of a fellowship like one. and being a part of a fellowship that encouraged it, and I was able to glean off other brothers while getting my footing, and still haven't totally arrived. A couple of people have reached out and said, "Bro, why won't he say something?" And I said, "You've been listening to him preach for the last 10 years. He said it all in the messages. Why is he on home? Why is he on wife being in her proper position and the male being in his proper position? Why is he on making the main thing the main thing? Why is he talking about the children being the main priority? Why is he talking about the man covering the wife's mind, body, and soul? Leading the family correctly. The man being led by God." I'm hard about this stuff consistently, over and over and over again. He's telling you what he's learned. How can you learn this without making the mistakes? So here's the other side of it. I personally believe it's celebrity. Because we see everything a celebrity does is transfer so much to the church that now that we require the same thing. If he cheated on his wife, and it wasn't something done publicly, and they reconciled and healed and got delivered from that, why is it that me, I'm going to use me as an example, why is it okay for me, because I'm mad at him for something, to start putting that stuff in the public and it was never made public? I don't see that in Scripture.
Right.
At all.
Now, if they try to approach him, what Scripture does speak of approaching, bringing one and then two and then like that. So if they did try to approach him from that perspective, and not even just saying the whole cheating thing, we're just talking about other things as well. If they did approach him on some of these things, but they were ignored, he never returned calls, never returned messages, whatever the case may be. If that was the case, and they did go public with it because, hey, he's not, answering me from multiple attempts. And I'm just saying, if this was done, what do you do then? Like, what do you do then?
Okay, so let me ask you. I hate this, but I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna give you an answer, but I want to answer with a question first. Okay. Where does it state in Scripture that you can go on somebody's past and present it to them in the present as if it's something that's currently going on? That's the question. Okay. Right? Now, the answer is, if I'm married with 3 children, you know that about me at the very least, right? Right. Somebody inbox you a picture of me physically involved with another woman. You have every right with the witness to inbox me or email me with that witness and tagged in saying, "Hey, AJ Bryan, bro, we don't know each other personally, bro, but I do know that you're married by the stuff you put up. I do know you have children, and I do know that this is not your wife because you post pictures with your wife. Bro, this ain't looking good. What's going on here?" You have every right to do that. Yeah. So those are my two. So my answer is, you have every right to do that if that's a current accusation. Right. But you don't have the right to go on somebody's past and present it as if it's going on right now. Okay. Especially when there's multiple people involved and the situations are already healed and moved on. Does that even sound logical to you? Would you do you think that's okay? Like, just in your own personal opinion?
I mean, if it's in someone's past and they've moved on, yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. But like I said earlier in the conversation, even though I do get that it's like, if I was a pastor and it's something that I did in my past and someone brought it back up, then yeah, I would probably feel I would feel very bothered by it, because I would think that it was in the past and it is under, the blood of Christ. Because I understand
Now add that to being presented to the public and now having to deal with it in your family, something that's already been dealt with. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want that done to me, and I wouldn't do that to anybody. And I'm not, again, same way I started off this conversation.
Right.
This is not a conversation to persuade you either way or convince you either way or any of that. I'm just more so saying that I think a lot of times when stuff is presented on internet or any public forum, it puts a fire behind it to where people don't dissect what's going on. Because I don't know. I'm not following it like that. So I don't know if the question has been asked, when did this happen? Okay, if this happened at that time, then how do we know that it wasn't already dealt with? Why does it have to be dealt with again just because a group of people or one person or whoever it is wants it to be dealt with again? That's almost like, hey, you murdered somebody 20 years ago. You went and did 12 years for it, but somebody else didn't know you murdered somebody. I found out about it. I want to try you again in court. But wait a minute, I've already served my time for that. Okay, well then prove to me that you served your time. Well, where did they do that at? I gotta prove to you that I served my time for a murder? And like, why? What makes you the person to make me have to go through that trial again?
Now, I would say only way if I did something, if I was married at the time and before I passed it, if I cheated on my wife, and then when I became pastor, you know, I'm been pastor for X amount of years, and then let's say I cheated on her again. Maybe that's, I'm not saying that that's going on now because I have no clue and I really honestly don't care. But I don't know if that's one reason why one may think that it's not right, but why they think that they have the right, I guess you can say.
Right. I totally agree. So if I found that out about you, and I emailed you and I asked you a question about it, and I decided I don't know you from a can of paint, why do I have to respond to you under any circumstance? There's 100 people that follow me on social media that I've never met a day in my life.
Right.
There's 100 people on social media that follow me that I've never talked to the amount of times that I've talked to you a day in my life. I can email you right now and ask me, hey, why you not saying something about what's going on with your church and with your pastor? That I would just never respond to. Because I don't owe anybody a response for that. I would have to be walking with you to get that response. I would have to have some type of an acquaintance or association to you to give that general response.
Right.
That's the only point that I'm trying to make.
Right.
So again, you can go to my old neighborhood in Detroit and find out a whole bunch of dirt about me. So if you came across that, what would that make you feel? Not that's rhetorical. That's not a real question. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that whether something is true or false, I think the context of the truth and the context of the falsehood is important, just as important as the information. Right now, it just seems like it's a whole bunch of information, and people are left up to either believe it or not believe it.
Now, like I said earlier, it's not too much of the allegations or whatever that I am even remotely concerned or care about. I guess it was just more so of the testimonials of those, even videos that I did see. I mean, a video that I did see of a family member of his and of Teton, which, like I said, everybody's stuff, in my opinion, everybody's information was saying.
Let me tell you this, and I'm going out on a limb.
Okay.
I don't know you, and this is just weird to me because, man, these guys are sending people to our church to video us, to audio recorders. They're calling people. So it's two things I want to say to you. He put up a video a week or so ago of a guy that goes to our church named Don Juan. Okay. And he presented it to everybody like they set up that phone call and Don Juan got scared of the conversation. That's a lie. Don't call Don Juan. Text him first. Don Juan said, okay, cool, let's talk. And then, oh, and I got Seiko Woods on a three-way. Don Juan had no clue that he was on that three-way. So if you're doing something in the name of Christ, in the name of God, why would you bombard somebody like that who's not aware that you're going to be on the phone? The reason why I'm providing you that context is because I've talked to Teton. I know Teton personally, as you would assume.
Right.
Teton told me whatever happened between him and Pastor G were reconciled and cool. If you look at it, if you look at his video, he said that in his video. The only brother that I've kept in contact with is Jay Bryan, and we've had some very intentional conversations. He said that about me, so my character is intact. Teton is lying. I'm going to tell you that, and I'm not going to ever say it again. And I appreciate if this doesn't get out to anybody else, but you can do what you want with that.
So you saying
he's lying?
So you saying he's lying? I mean, what specifically is he lying about? Because I'm just going by the video and what he said, what was said to him when he asked pastor's opinion on something.
Let me reword that. To imply that he's lying about everything would be wrong, because I wasn't a part of everything. What I'm saying he lied about is specifically saying that they have an issue, because he told me himself that all was well between both of them.
Okay.
So I had no clue that he even had a problem with Pastor G. I've talked to him a handful of times over the last 2 years. And each time I say, hey, bro, what's going on? He tell me everything is good. I talk to Pastor G. He good on his end. I'm good on my end. Hey, Pastor G, what's going on with Teton? Everything is good. We talk. He good on his end. I'm good on my end. So why go and make a video about all of these other stuff, all this other stuff?
I mean, only thing specifically that was said in the video that he said was his whole his whole company or whatever it was, and he asked for pastor's opinion on it, and he said specifically what was said to him concerning that, which I was like, wow. And that was pretty much it. And amongst, I mean, it's public. It probably still is on his video. So
I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I
haven't seen it. Somebody taped that part when he said my name and sent it to me, so I haven't seen the video in context.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all that was said, and I didn't really feel like it was.
But for him to do a video, from what I'm being told, for him to do a video with other people who have all of these negative things, that's agreement. If you don't separate yourself from it. My thing is, if you left the ministry for whatever the reason was, because he still never specifically told me that, if you left the ministry for whatever your reasons were, and you agree with some of the stuff that's being told now, why are you now partnering with people in light of it when you were next to the man for 10 years and you should have all of the ins and outs? Why aren't you the one that's doing this? If this man truly needs to be taken down, and if he's truly the devil in disguise, why aren't you the one that's taking him down? That's what's confusing to me. I mean, I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just saying that it just doesn't make sense. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. So all of that to be said, I just wanted to have a conversation, because I'm like, man, he seems like a cool guy. I don't know him like that, for real. Let me reach out. And this speaks a lot of you. Taking the time to talk, I really appreciate that. And it's your prerogative to do what you want to do and how you want to do it. My thing was, let me at least talk. So if I come across something, I won't read it in the voice in my head. I can actually have context of having a conversation with you and saying, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just want to me, it's childish. I unfriend you, and it's like, okay, cool. What is that? What does that mean? Like, you can voice your opinion all day long. Anybody can.
I mean, the unfriending thing and all that stuff is I mean, the Facebook is not that serious, but it is what it is.
100%.
It is what it is, you know. If you were to unfriend me, I mean, anybody that's unfriended wonder why.
Hold one more time.
Okay.
My bad, bro. I'm multitasking. I'm at work too.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad we had the conversation as well. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little like, okay, why he want to call me? I never talked to this dude ever, but I mean, it was cool to chop it up. I was, like you said, I have my perspective and my prerogative on it, and I'll do and go with that. And whomever is involved in the whole situation, whether the stuff is true, whether it's false or whatever, I hope things are cleared up or whatever. That's just my personal opinion.
Sorry to cut you off, but you said this a few times, and I don't think I responded directly to it. So as far as what you were saying about people's personal experiences here, with him. So some of those situations I'm aware of, but because they're not a part of the conversation, I'm just reserved to make a comment about it.
Okay.
I will, unfortunately, I have to keep it simple and straightforward, which is a lot of that stuff is not true, bro. And I definitely can't say anything about the legal side of it. But what I can say is, when these people decided to leave, because we haven't kicked anybody out of the church, and I'm saying that as part of the leadership, when these people decided to leave, they left on all is good, all is well. It wasn't until after they left and talked to other people, they became enraged and angered.
So can I ask one question?
You sure can.
Even with that being said, is it any truth to, like, if I went to the church, I left the church, and if I was to see you at the mall or something like that, is it true that former members don't converse with former members as far as, like, even if it's on a high and by basis? Because a couple people did allude to the fact that they saw people in common places, and they may have, they didn't say if they said hi to them, but they just said the reaction they got from that particular individual or whomever it was that they've come in contact with. Is it true that they don't have any type of that they don't say anything to them, like even if it's hi or how you doing or hold any type of conversation?
I got an answer for you. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, and one more quick question that came in my mind. So far as Pastor Craige and him, his accountability, because that's been another thing that's been talked about. His accountability, I always assumed it was because I don't know your position in the church, but I always assumed it was to you or whomever else the other elders and stuff were. That was just my assumption. But it's been said that he has no accountability, and the last accountability he had was his uncle who had passed away, I guess some years or so ago. So I don't know, is there any truth to those claims or
he has 4 pastors that he's accountable to. 4 pastors that he's accountable to, and of course he's held accountable by the leadership at our church.
Okay.
And I've also heard there's a narrative that everybody at the church is 35 and under.
I don't know if I heard that one.
Two of our elders one of our elders is older than pastor. Another elder is his age. Two of the other elders are his age, and the other elder is like around 40. Okay. So all of our elders are between 40 and 65.
Okay.
And of course he's held accountable to me. He's my pastor. So if I ever seen anything, and if I ever had a question, I've always asked him. And he always answered.
Okay.
But the thing is he being treated as a father? So if you're disgruntled or upset or have a problem with something, hold on one second.
Okay.
My bad. Hold on one second. My bad. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah. Where did I stop at again?
You said something about being disgruntled.
All right, but if you're pastor, right? And I've started to disagree with what you teach for whatever reason, and at the church, I walk up to you. And I'm not giving you like real stories, I'm giving you like, I'm just giving an example. Right. And after service, I see you. I walk up to you. Hey man, you said a couple things, man, that I just really disagree with, man. Let's take some time to sit down. I need to talk about that. That's the wrong disposition to approach somebody who just finished preaching. Right? Or you don't do it that way and you decide to do this. Man, because we do have PDFs. And then it's this thing, somebody told me that we don't have Bibles. Dude, I don't even know where this. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like the internet, because it gives people all of these ideas about, like, it's just weird to be a part of something that's like, it's just weird. But anyway, you can absolutely use your Bible if you want to. yes, he provides PDFs with scripture.
Mm-hmm.
So if I give you something in writing or typed out and I put my name on it, prepared by G. Craige Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
and you go home, you open the Bible, can't you figure out if it's false or true?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so I just wanted to just throw that out there. All right, so, but instead of me coming to you, I call you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, what's up? What's going on, man? Church was good, huh? Yeah, church was good. Cool. Hey, I got some questions about some of this stuff, bro. Come over to the house.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool, no problem, bro. Oh, and I got a couple of other brothers coming over too. All right, that's cool. All right, cool. So now we all sitting down. We're having our own private Bible study based on what. I'm sorry, no, you're the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Some brothers are all sitting down having a discussion about what you just preached on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, yeah, this is what I got from it. This is what I got from it. Okay, this, da, da, da. And then I'm like, well, I don't know. Pastor Nietzsche was kind of wrong about this part, bro.
Mm-hmm.
This goes on for 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the brothers grow uncomfortable and come to you and say, Brother Jay Bryan been doing like these on Bible studies with your prepared sermons, but he keeps pointing out everything that's wrong in it.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to ask me why am I still coming to your church, but inviting people over to my house and telling them what you're preaching wrong?
Is this a rhetorical question or actual question?
Right, rhetorical, 100% rhetorical. Yeah, because I mean it's not a real scenario that
Right.
I'm aware of.
Right. I mean,
So if you decide to leave because I decide to leave because you come to me and say, hey man, let's have a conversation. I'm hearing some brothers saying you keep inviting them over, telling them that I'm preaching, that I'm preaching false doctrine. So what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, no, I don't want to talk about it. I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Then I hear about this stuff that's going on online, and then I'm emailing people. Yeah, this was my experience. I approached him about preaching false doctrine too, and he just completely shunned me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the full context of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But do we really expect a pastor to get online? This is a real question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really expect a pastor to get online and say, "Well, yeah, I'm aware of Brother Jay Bryan. This is what really happened."
Mm-hmm.
That's not biblical, bro.
That's fine.
What?
Scoffers and scorners, especially if they've left the fold, this particular fellowship, if they've left the fellowship, you can have whatever opinion you want to have. You can voice it however you want to voice it. You can use whatever platform you want to use to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't warrant to get on one of those platforms or release some type of public statement saying this is what really happened and he's lying about.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's not the total truth about something.
Mm-hmm.
You just let that person be disgruntled or mad or whatever the case, and whatever form they want to be that in, as long as it's not bringing harm to what you're responsible for, which is the church you're pastoring and the family that you're leading. That would be my take on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have nothing to say.
I got you. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you another personal side to it, dog. Look, I hated my father, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I hated him. We now have one of the best relationships in the world because Pastor G counseled me through that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't go online and say that, even if that's a true sentiment, because now everything I say online is going to be used to defend him, and I'm not defending. I've never defended him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if the type of spiritual weightiness things that he's had to deal with and approach, if he does something wrong enough, I believe in God enough to know that God would deal with him swiftly, quickly, and harshly.
Mm-hmm.
Because he stood on too many church platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And if God is providing him grace for any of his, I guess, past discrepancies or whatever he's dealt with in the past, if God is providing him grace and mercy and still allowing him to do this,
Mm-hmm.
I am in no position to ever stop that.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a witness to or around him during these particular situations or incidents that he's being accused of, we would have definitely had a conversation. And if it was wrong, I would not be standing next to him. But so, nobody on Facebook or social media would have to believe that because I don't know these people. So there's no reason for me to say that because the people don't know me. Right.
So did you, I don't know if you did or if you heard through someone else, any of the other videos that came up about, you know, people's dealings at the church and all of this stuff in the treatment and all that? Like, did you hear any of them? Or I'm pretty sure you probably didn't, but did you?
Go ahead.
No, I was just asking, did you hear any of the just any of the other people's testimonies, I guess, and what they were saying regarding how they were treated at the church, whether it was by security personnel or by pastor himself? I guess how they felt like he came off and I understand people are human. I get that, but in the same respect, for me, and once again, this is just my perspective of it. For me, the only thing that I'm getting a little hung up on is everyone's stories seem to be the same. So unless people just fabricating all these stories or either wording it where all of them are kind of sounding like they went through the same thing, I think that's where a lot of people were kind of like, it's hard for them to believe that some of these experiences, you know, did or didn't happen. I think that's what most people that have heard these particular testimonies are kind of caught up on, like, you know, the validity of it, because all of them seem to have some type of similarity to them.
I completely understand that. My response to that is, I don't know, because I wasn't there, or I don't know what you're talking about. If I was there or close in proximity of it, the only thing I could speak to, somebody did tell me that the girl Delilah had some words for me. I don't know the deep. I can't believe that.
I mean, I
would speak about like their personal situations like that on the internet. I just wouldn't do that. I was as much as you can be acquainted with a young lady having a wife and her being single at the time and then eventually getting married at one point. We used to kick it every Sunday. Everybody just hanging out. She had some dope gym shoes on because I think she worked at a gym shoe store at the time. And she had some dope kicks. So we used to always talk about her gym shoes all the time. So when the situation came out about her, about Pastor G inboxing, calling Beyonce a hoe. So two things. I don't think Pastor G should be on the internet. I mean, as far as social media, man, he old. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you would. So anyway, that had nothing to do with it. I inboxed her because I felt comfortable enough to do that. I was told that she said I inboxed her trying to intimidate her, and then she never responded. So I went back to the inbox. So this was 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago. I went through my inboxes to see if it was in there because I didn't remember. I'm looking at the inbox. We had a full conversation. Like a respectful conversation. The only thing I said in the conversation was, hey, you should stop your family from threatening Pastor G because that's a threat to everybody. I mean, they said they was going to come to the church with guns.
Well, I ain't hear all that, and I don't remember her.
But the point I'm making is she said that I inboxed her trying to intimidate her. I just said, hey, like, because I was insinuating because you're hurt behind whatever is going on or your personal situation, don't redirect that particular emotion or anger or feeling towards somebody else over a simple mistake. So if I'm looking at my Instagram stories and I send it to you, I'm not knowing that if I click on the story and respond, that I'm responding to somebody else's inbox. I'm thinking I'm responding to Dietrich. That's all that happened. She put that on Facebook like he was in her inbox trying to like contact her directly. All I said to her was, hey, you know that's not what happened. And him calling her a hoe, that's what he believed. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He thought he was talking to the other young lady that sent him the video. All right, so there's an opinion about that. Well, a pastor shouldn't do this, a pastor shouldn't. Okay, that's all semantics in the grand scheme of things. If he was comfortable enough to have that conversation with whoever sent him that video, that's one thing. But to not know that he was sending it to her is a whole nother thing. So if you're going to put that on Facebook, I think you should also include that he didn't know he was responding to you directly. So again, the reason why I'm giving you that story is because I can only respond based on the situations I've had dealings with. If everybody's story is consistent in regard to the manner of which you're speaking that's believable, you would have to understand. To me, I would ask for the full context. If that happened, if somebody started going crazy on you,
right,
I would need to know. If I cared enough, I would need to know both sides. And because I can't know both sides, I would have to remain objective, which means I wouldn't involve myself in it, but reserve my opinion. So if the information is being provided is believable, I'd be like, man, I hope that's not true, but it's kind of believable. But I wouldn't involve myself in that situation, especially not publicly. Speaking for myself personally. But again, I don't like drama because I'm aggressive. So anything I'm involved in, I'm face to face with it. And on the internet, that can be turned into something else for no reason, to be a whole bunch of wasted energy. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to answer that. I would have to hear these scenarios. Was I close enough to give an objective opinion about it? Or am I far enough away to say that, okay, cool. What I can speak to is my experience. People keep on saying too, because I'm getting inboxes all the time, bro. He putting your music out, so you ain't gonna say nothing. Bro, first of all, he asked me. I didn't ask him. I was done with music. We're comfortable doing music together because he know I'm not trying to be a star. And I'm not about to be on his head about sales and crazy junk. Like, I don't care. We literally do it just because we have the ability and the means to do it. I'm not doing it for notoriety or any of that. When do you see me post music? 5 times a year, maybe? Like, I don't care. So it's hard to come to the defense of what I experienced firsthand because people think that I'm benefiting from it. I don't get this experience. I see a selfless man serving the body of Christ. That's what I see. I've even talked to brothers since all of this. Like, hey, bro, are we blind? Nah, bro, I don't see that either. Okay, cool. But let's be objective even about that. He's been pastoring 10 years. Do you think he's done everything right?
No, of course not.
All right, so what is he supposed to do? Go on public trial for everything? I mean, come on, you got dudes that's been pastoring 40, 50 years. It ain't no telling what type of information we would find out if we went digging for it.
Right.
And this is cliche. I'm going to admit this, but it's a valid point in my opinion, and I would love to hear your response to it. Was David disqualified? No. And not because he slept with another man's wife and got her pregnant. I'm just saying he was allowed to repent. Now, one would say, well, yeah, but we were able to read that in full context. We were able to read that in full context. Neither one of us are writing the Bible. We're not, like, God is not using our life stories to write a Bible right now. Right. Like, that was for a different time, for a different purpose. But it shows the humanity in somebody that God has called. And it shows the forgiveness that God allows for whatever he's called that person for. The mercy. And the time to grow. He's been pastoring for 10 years. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Then we got made fun of because we did our first baptism.
Now let me ask you that question, and I'm just be honest. So even with the whole before I came in contact with this other information, when I saw that you guys had your first baptism, I just thought in the back of my head, well, from what I knew of G. Craige, I don't know him personally, but just from following him on the internet and from what he says out his own mouth or whatever. It just seemed like I thought he was being very careful and didn't just want to do what every other church was doing. That's what I was assuming. That's what I was looking at. And that's what I thought. So is that the reason?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so I'm saying, is that the reason why, even though he's been pastoring for 10 years, and I know you guys haven't been in the new building that long, but you've been in the other building for some years, but just taking all that into perspective, is that the reason why I guess it took him a long time to even consider baptizing, start the baptismal of the members?
100%. That's exactly. As a church body, as a fellowship, we've been talking about this for years. People have been emailing him and pulling him to the side and inquiring about all of the things that we traditionally grew up doing in church.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a traditional church in the sense of how it was done. He's never seen anyone pastor a church where 95% of the people have moved from out of state.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't ask for this. We were caught because he didn't put a name on a building. He didn't put a name on a building because it would have grown quicker than he was ready to pastor. He had to grow, and he's still growing.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that personally.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I could just put a name. I could put Craige Lewis Ministries or EX Ministries on the building, and we'll have 5,000 members in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you do that if you don't know what you're doing yet? If you want to allow God the time to shape and mold you as a pastor, to get a little bit of what you grew up seeing out of your system, and kind of direct you and guide you through Scripture and through the elders and everybody coming together. We got ex-Catholics, ex-Muslims, right? People who practice Judaism, Hinduism. We got people who are atheists.
Mm-hmm.
You name it, bro. It's all in there. So everybody got this different perspective of what the Bible is.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go through the Bible and figure out this as a body, because we're all supposed to be in agreement. And sometimes it takes a person a year or two to disagree. Okay, you know what? I've been doing this for like 2-3 years. I ain't with it. I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Some people leave without notification. Some people leave with notification. Some people leave disgruntled.
Mm-hmm.
For a very long time, he was very apprehensive about letting people come in there and preach. Why? Because he feels spiritually responsible for these people. So if you just let people come in with their own doctrine or twist and turn, and you're trying to build something with a solid foundation, that stuff takes time. And the baptism, bro, was probably one of the most significant things we've done besides hearing God's preached word as a ministry, as a fellowship. You have no idea. I couldn't even express in words what that did for our church.
Mm-hmm.
And no sooner than we did that, then this happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're literally under attack as a ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So the baptism was suggested and required. The requirement is, this is something that you do as a believer. The suggestion was, if you've been baptized before and now have a different understanding and a different approach, you can also be baptized again.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people. I got baptized at 14.
Mm-hmm.
I got baptized again because now I have a better understanding of not only what it means, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what it meant for my wife, who had never been baptized before, and my children. I wanted to get baptized with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So for a God to make fun of that and provide a platform for other people to make fun of that, and for people who are somewhat a part of it to leave and then go and make fun of that, that was by far probably one of the weirdest things that I was given information about. Because I'm like, who laughs at people for getting baptized?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with him taking the time to completely study it and gain an understanding and then share that study and that understanding?
Mm-hmm.
And then say, whoever wants to get baptized, based on this understanding that I have and this instruction that I've been given, I'm now giving to you, you are welcome to do it. Mm-hmm. We had to go and rent a facility. We don't have room to baptize 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sign-up sheet for it, bro.
Mm-hmm. The
Sunday that it happened, he preached about it again, taught about it again, and then we extended it. All right, even if you didn't sign up, this is something. This is not a party.
Mm-hmm. This
is life-changing, life-altering. Who didn't sign up, who now wants to be baptized based on what was just taught and based on what you just heard?
Mm-hmm.
Another like 80 people came that day.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a local community center.
Mm-hmm.
of people lining up to be baptized by the elders of the church. We had people standing outside inquiring about what was going on, and when we told them what was going on, they tried to call the local news because they felt like it should have been broadcasted, but we asked them not to do that for the privacy of the people who don't want to be on the news. So are we supposed to go online and give all of this context because somebody online doesn't like us or disagrees with us or has an issue? And I also ask this. Why is it that all of these issues are 3 years old and later? Everybody that's talking is the people that are deciding to leave because of that are people. It's just weird, man. If I come to you and I say, and you I rap, man. I sing. I make beats. You know, I left the world alone, man. I want to get in the studio because I know the church got a studio. Okay, well, cool, man. Let us get to know you. Let's serve in a different capacity first. Don't just try to get to the music part of it. That's nothing. Oh, you don't want me to rap. You don't want me to do nothing. Okay, cool. All right, then leave. Then you get, like, it's just so many different things. I directly deal with the music side of it. Every single Sunday, a new group of people want to do an album. Every Sunday.
So is
that? Consider that. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Is there any truth to? I'm sorry. Is there any truth to some? Well, there's some more claims that I heard about secular music being played in the church at different times. This is just me just being objective, listening and looking at, you know, what I've been looking at. But
I haven't heard any secular music personally.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm there all the time. Like, that is the craziest thing. So first of all, you got. First of all, music is repetition, and you can only go outside of certain melodies for certain things. There's a song that we do, or interpolation of what we do for one of our welcome songs, that sounds almost identical to So Fresh and So Clean by Outkast. So if you don't understand music, and you walk into church, and we playing that, and the band is playing that music while they're doing the welcome song, you're going to be like, bro, that's Outkast. But then if we play that music up against Outkast, So Fresh and So Clean, you're going to hear 3 different note changes. That makes it not So Fresh and So Clean.
So hold on for a second. So if I was to hear it and I was to think that it is So Fresh and So Clean, but then if you were to break it down or whatever you're saying, far as like in hearing the different melodies and say, oh, I see where they changed this, and changed that. Is that any different from what, you know, I wouldn't say what's been preached, but almost, is it any different from what's been preached far as when pastor may have said something like, well, you know, people take in secular songs and I understand that. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because I've answered this question a million times, and it's right on it's a right answer based on my understanding. I didn't want me saying that I've answered this question a million times, like I just know I'm right. But based on my understanding, the reason why there's a difference is because he's talking about, if I go and take the beat of Song Cry, Jay-Z's song from like 15, 20 years ago, I go and get Song Cry, I get that instrumental and I write to it. Right. That's literally a song that exists with an intended purpose already. You can't change that. Okay. That's what he's talking about. But if you listen to a song that sounds like, do you know music at all? Like, do you know music theory or any of that?
No.
All right. Do you remember back in the day? How old are you?
31.
Oh, okay, you should know that. Remember back in the day when Suge Knight and Vanilla Ice had that issue about the bass line? So one said doom 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 doom. Then the other one said doom 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 doom. So there's a slight note change in the bass. If I've never heard that song and I go and I create something, that's different. I intentionally created something opposite of what that song that's in existence already is. But if I hear that song and I go and create that a different song, but I use the exact same bass line and I just create different music around it, then that's an interpolation of. So so to answer your question, no, we don't play secular music in the church. But what I'm saying is, if a person hears a familiar melody or something, music, you can't escape that in music. You're going to find melody that exists today that was used 20, 30 years ago automatically, because music, it's not our human conception of music has a limit. Because, sound eventually becomes light.
Right.
So we don't go that far. We can't go that far. That's another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So if I play music right now, in 30 years, somebody can potentially, if we're still using instruments,
mm-hmm.
can play the same thing, or not the same thing, but because that would be copyright infringement, but can play something that's similar to that sound of it, because music is a circle. Like you can only go so many notes, and then you have to use those same notes again.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna just be straight up honest. To me, it's making it appear like. Now, I get what you're saying. If I was to take and this is just a crazy song, but Lil Wayne song, whatever Lil Wayne song, and this got a nice beat to it, and throw some gospel lyrics over it. Of course, when I'm hearing the lyrics, I'm thinking of exactly what Lil Wayne said when he produced that song. But if I kind of take the beat and kind of, add my little flavor in there to it, on the surface it appear, it sounds like this song, but then when you really, I guess, listen to it or really break it down, I guess, or whatever, you'll see where I kind of made the twitches and changes to it. But to me, and this is just probably just how my brain is, to me, I'm just thinking to myself, like, to me, it just still sounds like, it's still, if for a person that doesn't know, and most normal people don't know all of this breakdown of music and speaking of the science and all this stuff behind the music, like
right.
A lot of people don't know that. But for one's ministry to be built against, of course, talking against the vile or the vileness and the demonic influence of the industry. If one was to hear, for instance, I'll pull one up, a T.I. song. I think Murray did a remake, well, not a remake of it, but one of their songs called Walking. And when you listen to it, it sounds like T.I.'s song. But for one to just listen to Murray's song, they probably really wouldn't catch it like that. And to me, it would make it appear, and this is just me, to me, it would make it appear like, what the heck is the difference? Because it sounds like T.I. song, but it's not, because you changed this. So it would make it appear, you got this song from T.I., or you got this song from this person or that person. And even I know Pastor preached about Kirk doing that a lot. But if Kirk did some of that stuff, but putting his own flavor to it and not taking and this is just my opinion, because I don't know Kirk personally. If he's doing that, what's the harm in doing that if you all may be kind of doing the same thing?
Right. No. I think you're misunderstanding me explaining it to you based on how I answered the question. So to answer the question, no. So there's no old school or secular form of music playing, and then our band sits there and say, okay, cool, let's figure out a way to manipulate that so we can use it. That's not happening at all. And then there's no straight up playing of secular music. So that's the answer.
All right. I
was more so saying, if somebody comes in there and wants to give a story of them hearing the secular music, that can be the reason why.
Okay.
If your point of reference is only T.I., when you hear Mary Mary, if Mary Mary is actually not using T.I. song, if your point of reference is only T.I., that's the only thing you're gonna compare it to if you don't have that understanding of music.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only point I was making. I just went deep into it because we were actually talking about it.
Wow. Okay.
But no, I mean.
Okay.
I mean, how I think so. This is interesting because I would look at it like this: if 95% of the people move here to join the ministry, all these people have your perspective and my perspective, because we all, from afar, was in support of EX Ministries and his teachings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would have that perspective and I would have that perspective, wouldn't everybody sitting there have that perspective?
Of course, yeah.
Right. Well, we would have. Yeah, that's what we would assume. So
right.
how would that go over? We would have. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the church would exist if what he's taught for the last 20 years was not in practice in the church.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand the logic. Like, how does somebody who, I don't know, man. I don't know this sorcery power that people are saying that he has. I don't see it. I just don't. If I saw it, then you would know, because I'm a vocal person.
Oh, this is another question that I have. Is it any truth to people's content, like Teton's content or Will Ford's content being pulled from like the website? Because that's another thing that I heard, their content being pulled from the website, the content that they, I guess, produced or whatever.
Pull the content? You mean like the DVDs and stuff?
Yeah, like the DVDs that they did.
I mean, but that's public information. That's not, you don't have to hear that. You just go on exministries.com and see that it's not there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. You can go in there and see yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why somebody would even bring that up if it's evident.
I mean, I guess they were kind of wondering, like, what was the reason for, like, pulling Teton's content or pulling Will Ford's if it is. I haven't went on there and personally checked myself, but I'm just saying, like, if it honestly is pulled from there, I'm thinking one probably would think why was that? Somebody could have been looking for the truth behind the black church and went on there and didn't see it on the website. I'm like, hey, dang, what happened to that? Like, so that's the only reason why I had asked.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume. I would assume. Now, obviously, this is the reason, but I'm saying if I was on the outside looking in, I would assume, okay, if Will Ford has specifically distanced himself from EX Ministries and Teton has specifically distanced himself from EX Ministries, then I would just go directly to them. I wouldn't go to EX Ministries for their information.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I guess with me kind of just like on the outside, like I don't want to be in anybody's business to ask like, hey, I was looking for your content. Why isn't that on here? Not to say I had to go in deeply or whatever or ask but
I wouldn't do that. I would just say, hey, man, I'm looking for the truth behind the black church.
Right.
And I would just accept his response, whatever that response is.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't ask why. Me personally, I'm not saying people haven't done it. I'm pretty sure they have gotten those questions.
Right.
But yeah, I would just, me personally. I mean, if you and people keep showing up to the shop to get their car fixed and asking for Jay Bryan, aren't you gonna say, call Jay Bryan? Yeah, but I want to come to for Jay Bryan. Yeah, but he's no longer here. I mean, he went to do something else.
Right.
I don't know. Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do with that.
Right.
It's not a record company where, records drop Jay Bryan, but there's money involved, so, you want to still get the money because, Jay Bryan's a pretty good artist, so we're going to keep selling it.
Mm-hmm.
So Dietrich Records going to keep selling Jay Bryan so they can both get paid. Yeah, I mean, if it's about the money, but if it's not about the money and Jay Bryan leaves, then you no longer go up for Jay Bryan.
Right.
To me, I'm not saying this to you. I'm just thinking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's common sense. But if you associate all of that with, hoopla or the human brain wanting some type of drama all the time, like, and that was another thing. Like, if it was drama, that is so weird. Like, if it was drama, to me, drama would have already been known. If it was drama, I don't personally know what happened with Teton. I just know that he left because that's what he told me. I know what happened to Will Ford because I was there.
So are they? So is I know I heard about the whole thing with Teton, but Will Ford, is he not part of the ministry, or he just have his own personal ministry now? Because I thought I seen something like that online. Because I honestly, like I say, when I latched on to EX Ministries, it was in about 2008 or 9, and I became friends with Teton online and with Will Ford online, and I would tell Will Ford some dreams I had and all this stuff. So I only knew all these people through the internet and all of that. But then when I didn't see anything from Teton, I just thought he was detoxing or whatever from the internet, just chilling out. And then from Will Ford, I don't know what I thought with him, but I wondered like what happened with him. So I didn't know if he started his own ministry or whatever was going on with him.
Will Ford started his own ministry.
Oh, okay.
He stood up before ABC, and we gave him the right hand of fellowship.
Oh, okay. I didn't know exactly what happened to him.
Yeah, he started ABC with Pastor G.
Right.
Yeah, he stood up before the church, he gave him the right hand of fellowship, and he's been doing his own ministry thing, I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, wow, I didn't know it'd been that long. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I don't know, it's just weird, man. It's like people think that you're supposed to operate like a celebrity. That's what it comes off as sometimes.
Mm.
To me personally. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
because my headphones went dead, so I had to pull them out.
Yeah, I mean, I
it's like they put this expectation of celebrity on people that everything is supposed to be publicized. That's just, I don't know. Man, I've been following I'm 36.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following EX since I was 21. I've been in Texas since I was 28, I think I was when I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 8 years. Yep, 28.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen him publicly discuss anything personal from his side or the people that he quote unquote exposes. To expose is one thing. To do an expose is another.
Mm-hmm.
An expose is a known Christian. He does Christian music. He just did a song with Jay Bryan, who's a known hip hopper, who does everything contrary to Christianity and Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm wrong as a believer because he's fellowshipping with darkness and making a comment to men. All of this was done publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Never once have, unless you can tell me, you have all the DVDs, I have all the DVDs. You've been following since 2008, 2009. I've been following since like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
4-ish. Right? All right. I've never heard him say, hey, in addition to standing up next to Jay Bryan, the hip hopper, he also has sex with multiple women every night. I know that because somebody sent me some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen him do that. Have you ever seen it?
I mean, from my knowledge and what I don't think that I personally have.
Okay.
I can't recall.
By all means, if something comes to mind, even after we're done with this conversation, bring it to my mind so I can see, because I'm not, you know, this has been going on for years, bro, where people feel like what the ministry does is wrong in the light of putting people's business out. Nothing has ever been approached from a private standpoint. It's all been based on what is done in the public.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, from my personal experience, we have a plethora of private information that people send to us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll never be used.
So
because that's not fair.
Was any of anyone's private information kind of subliminally put into any messages, or I'm talking about sermons, but kind of just used, you know, whoever in place of the actual individual. So what was that ever done before by pastor? Well, so I'm saying, like, so if so and so is Susie had an affair with Joey or whoever, blah blah blah, and that person is a member of the church or something like that, will it ever be put into a sermon if they're talking about, and let's just say Susie is married, Joey is not, and let's just say, will it be put in a sermon if it's being, if a sermon is being preached on adultery, will it be kind of like subliminally put in there, you know, far as saying, I don't know, saying something like, well, yeah, because you know that, we got somebody in here that was wilding out and blah 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 blah. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, was that ever?
That's happened to me a couple of times.
So you saying you've been in a sermon before, but it was subliminally.
Yeah, a few times.
So
in every church I've ever attended.
So do you think that's right to do?
No, I don't think that it is wrong at all, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
All right. So I want to give you two sides of it. One side is this. I've been dealing with this is a scenario based on. Well, no, I won't even use a scenario. I'll use the actual situation. Specifically talking about Pastor Lewis and me. So Pastor Lewis have a conversation with me. Hey Jay, you getting yourself together? Yeah, I'm working on it, sir. Okay, cool, man. But a couple weeks ago you called me and said, you was having some struggles. You still trying to get on your feet, with the bills and everything like that. Yeah, but you got on some new Jordans. You just bought the new iPhone. And I can clearly see you love polo shirts because you got them in every color. All right, you right. Okay, cool. Sunday or two passed. Let's just use the immediate Sunday because I don't remember if it was immediately or not.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about being a hero, talking about being a priest, a provider, and protecting your home. How do you gain the respect and the faithfulness and encouragement of your wife if she knows the financial situation of your home, needs this, and this, but you showing up every Sunday in the brand new polo and the brand new Jordans?
Right.
I personally see nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he's possibly referencing me because obviously we had that conversation. But how do I know he didn't also have that same conversation with 10 of the other guys who are mid to late 20s or early 30s, and he's trying to help young men become more responsible in home and lead godly homes?
Mm-hmm.
That personally does not offend me.
Okay.
But if you're pastoring or shepherding a church that's young at heart, you have to use relatable scenarios, whether somebody knows that's personal between you two or not, to help everybody mature. That's how I viewed it.
Okay.
Now here's another side of it. Then you got these silly jive men, because he used them old school terms because he old. You got these silly jive men, midlife crisis, want to go and buy a Jeep, and you just emailed the church asking them for $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
It's highly probable that that's a real situation.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's 10, 15 other guys in that scenario thinking about buying a house or a car, but grew up in dysfunction? So all they know is live check to check. All they know is, as long as I can make it to the 15th, I can put another $25 on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to spiritually and naturally grow a church, and you understanding what you're shepherding, which is people who come from single parent homes who didn't see the balance of how you're supposed to do checking and saving, all of that stuff, all of that has been intertwined in the messages, because you've been following it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm Pastor Jay Bryan is preaching it, and me and brother conversation, that I'm referencing some of your truth, some truth to your situation. What's disrespectful about that?
I mean, I guess it depends. I guess is situationally, and it depends on the person. Because me personally, I probably would feel some type of way about it, because I would feel if we had a conversation in private, even if it's something simple as you have on the latest Jordans or the latest Polo or the latest iPhone, whatever. That's just me personally. I just wouldn't want that thing. I just wouldn't want that brought up on a I guess you can still say it's kind of public because since it's broadcasted throughout the world or whatever on the podcast thing.
And I don't disagree. I think that's 100% boils down to the person. That's the difference between somebody getting up, hooping and hollering for 30 minutes and preaching. People love that versus somebody standing flat foot and teaching verse by verse. Church in terms of style, right, is 100% choice. Attending a church isn't choice. I do believe in the Bible we're mandated to fellowship weekly with like-minded believers.
Right.
We know that. But style of church is 100% your choice. So I totally agree with you. I like 100% agree. Again, the reason why I don't think it's offensive is because if I stand up and I say, yeah, I'll just talk this week. You know, man can't pay his bills, but he go out to eat every day. That's not the way you. That's different. That's like, whoa, bro. You not only you're crossing the line, we got to have a conversation man to man. Right. But if it's in the context and in light of not only speaking to a situation that multiple people are going through, because you're shepherding multiple people and you're talking to multiple people, I would do that. You know, me personally, I would do that. Hey man, like your brothers are young, you get married young. And I believe that God is going to provide grace and mercy in that situation. But understand something, man. Your bills need to be paid before you buy the next new pair of Jordans. You want the respect of your friends or people who are looking at this materialistic stuff that fades away? Or you want to invest in your wife and your home and your family that's forever, and that God ultimately is judging you and maturing you by? Man, Pastor G just talked to me 2 days ago about, you know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something too. Let me be completely transparent. I've had the opportunity to talk to some brothers that this has happened to. Hey, you know, Pastor G was talking about me. When? Today when he was preaching. What part? You know, when he said such and such. Oh, bro, you know I would have never known that if you didn't tell me that. In your mind, you know it's about you, or you feel strongly it's about you. But you don't have to be offended by that because he used a real life scenario to help multiple people. Not you. I'm just saying the reason why I'm not offended by that. But yeah, you would have to, you know, if you're not okay with that, then I would completely understand that. And I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
And I know specifically, I mean, and I've never voiced this to anyone, but I know a couple of things, which I know he kind of clinked up some in one of the expositions on YouTube where you referred, I don't know if it was you or somebody referred to a guy as being whack. And I know that really that deeply hurt me. And somebody brought up a decent point on that.
They literally told him, I'm like, those are my objections. I'm listening.
Oh, somebody had said that about the whole him saying whack and all that, and then someone brought up a point and said, well, do he think that guys are, you know, that don't have or that's could be nearing 30 or at 30 or even past 30 that you know don't have a wife or don't have someone that they, you know, maybe talking to where they are courting into that particular situation. And at the moment when I heard that, I wasn't, you know, wolf according with anyone, and I felt some type of way about that. I really did think that was
So let me provide context. So it's two sides to this. So 4, 5, 6 years ago, when the church was in an extremely infant stage, there was a heightened sea of young people. When you have a heightened sea of young people, what happens typically? You get a lot of sex, you get a lot of babies before marriage, and, you know, certain dudes, you know, they come in just to pick them off. Yeah, they go on, yeah, what's up? Let's go get something to eat after church. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that happens. So we had a very close attention placed on that. And so, yes, brothers would get tapped. Hey, man, we kind of don't want y'all to do that in the church. Now, if y'all somehow exchange numbers or whatever out there, whatever the case, you know, nobody can govern that. But inside of the church, we don't want people trying to take people out or approach people in that manner. And the reason why we had to do that is because you got a lot of people moving in town who don't know other people. So the only people that they're using church for everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're using it for the meet and greet. You know what I'm saying? They're using it for a kickback. They're using it for the word. They're using it for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a uniqueness to this ministry that it would take forever to explain that a lot of people don't understand. That again, a new pastor coming to a new way of how this is happening wouldn't have otherwise, I don't think would have been able to keep the doors open this long had certain things not been approached a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea, this narrative that he's putting people together for marriage is hilarious. I think, now this is my personal opinion. To some degree, I do think sometimes he took too much of a fatherly approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only give your approach to how you would treat your daughter or son in scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a person can agree or disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Some instances that I've been made aware of was probably a little too far.
Mm-hmm.
Telling somebody that person might not be good for you, but if you go to somebody for advice, how do you get mad at what they tell you?
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. But anyway, so I can say that, yes, there's a lot of guys who were trying to, pick apples off the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys were approached and asked not to do that inside of the church so that the women can be comfortable. Because the young lady started coming to leadership like, hey, I got this guy that keep asking me to go out, keep asking for my phone number. Then we grew more.
Mm-hmm.
And in a year's time, I think we added like maybe 250 members.
Mm-hmm.
We got another building.
Mm-hmm.
He made the announcement, hey guys, from here on out, we've taught enough for y'all to understand how to operate respectfully. We would hope that y'all would continue in that. But we're not going to do any more of that. You can't approach, unless somebody is, we need to call the police. If it's sexual harassment or, some type of inappropriate interaction or something like that happens on church grounds. And of course you notify us and then we go from there with the authorities.
Right.
But as far as how we were trying to help keep that, dog and heat spirit under control, so to speak, we're not operating like that.
So when he was calling or when he was saying like guys are whack, was he referring to guys that I guess may have Susie one week, this one this week, this one that week? Was he referring to guys that really didn't have or didn't see marriage as an end game or end goal, yes, I should say?
So yeah, I was going to get to that. So let me respond to you based on my understanding and what I believe, not on behalf of him.
Okay.
Right? What I understand and what I believe is, you reach the age, because I believe this personally, you reach the age of 30, 31, 32, and there's no like aggressive goal for marriage or even a line of it, because the belief is this: the older you get with no woman, the more you're set in your ways, the harder it is for you to compromise or decrease in self to become one with a woman. Mm-hmm. That's the concept. Mm-hmm. So we had a guy, and this is no different than him preaching about it. But you don't know this guy from dirt. I'm not going to tell you his name, but I'm going to give you a real life scenario because I know about it firsthand. We had a guy that moved from out of state that told me specifically he wasn't ready for marriage. Mm-hmm. Okay. So 1 year go by, 2 years go by, and all this church is about is the family unit. So you have an over and abundance of information about how to be the right man for the right woman. You have an over and abundance of information of how to go about looking for your wife, picking your wife, choosing your wife from a biblical perspective. There's countless information, countless scriptures. There's just absolutely no excuse when it comes to that. So you would have to assume that this person is either not applying it or doesn't believe it. But all the while, different young ladies keep coming to leadership saying, at the church, he would spot me at my car and kind of slide up to me and say, hey, let's get to know each other. Let me get your phone number. If there was one young lady, that would make sense. But since there's multiple young ladies, that means that you don't really have an end game in mind for marriage. Mm-hmm. That individual, in Jay Bryan's opinion, is definitely whack.
Hold up. Hey.
because you're still operating in a little boy's mentality. Now, if you're chaste, you're not being physical with women, and you're trying to figure it out, that's a different scenario. But this is not a mindset that Jay Bryan can impose on. Right? We can go to scripture and point out that you should have yourself together with a wife and start a family by a certain time frame.
The lies. There you go. This bitch. The lies.
Especially if you've been sexually active. If Paul specifically said that it's better to marry than to burn.
So let me ask you this real quick before you finish. So what if, and this is just a couple scenarios that popped in my head. What if a guy could have been? Now I'm guessing we probably would assume it would be evident in his mannerisms and all this stuff. But what if a guy was, I guess, sexually abused or assaulted or something like that, where their attraction, we're just speaking attraction towards a woman, is not fully intact because of that, and then they didn't have the confidence to talk about it, and you're wondering why he's not getting married.
Great, bro, I'm so glad you asked this, dog. Man, I appreciate you. I really do. So remember I gave you the example of 1 year, 2 year go by?
Right.
And all of this teaching and information has been given?
Right.
This is not, don't forget to mention the behind the scenes counseling that goes into it. So even though everything in life is situational and circumstantial because we're human, nobody's story is the same.
Right.
But from a position of leadership, and this is me speaking to you from somebody who's had a little bit of experience in this, from a position of leadership, you can't preach to the circumstance, you preach the standard. And then case by case, you help people get to that standard. But if you preach a standard and then you're dealing with people with different scenarios and different circumstances, and then they're still not taking those steps, then that also has to be acknowledged and approached as well. So you're absolutely correct. If that's a situation that's really occurring, then of course you will provide the information and prayer and counsel and support for that young lady or young man, so that they can get to that point. But then also at some point, and this goes into the counseling portion of it, at some point with that prayer and understanding the scripture and applying scripture to it, there's a decision that has to be made. And the decision that has to be made is, you know what? Faith. I can't keep allowing myself to use this as a crutch for not taking 1 or 2 or 3 steps or 4 steps or 5 steps. At some point, I have to go and just totally trust God in it. Because that's what it all is. I didn't know what I was doing when I proposed to my wife. I didn't know what I was doing after we got married. I just told you a year leading up to moving here, she was the breadwinner. Nobody had never pointed that out to me in scripture because I have a family full of women who run everything. So after I got that information, then I had to really figure out how that looks for me and how to apply that step by step. Me getting up to this point, even with the homeschool and all that, man, these were a million steps that it's just not enough time in the world to really pattern out to give you that information. But none of this stuff happened overnight. And none of it was just, Paul say, not that I count myself as not that I've apprehended or not that I've arrived. I'm still pressing, bro. We all are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's that context. But what you're getting, I think what people get in the podcast is the standard without the context. And to me, that's balanced out with actually reading the scripture and you seeking God on your personal situation, whoever that person is.
Okay.
Because it's impossible, man. If he's up there for an hour and a half, but only 45 minutes is the message, releasing an hour and a half is, it just doesn't make sense. It just, I'm telling you, I wouldn't, I'm like, okay, cool, man. You could cut out all that. I'm trying to get to the meetup.
Right.
Hold on, one second.
Okay.
Was I talking to you?
I think you were. You was just talking about the
yeah, so I was just rounding up the point of, man, there's always isolated situations that need a little attention, but I think it's important to understand And I didn't understand that. I'm telling you, I learned this here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, me and my wife used to go home every Sunday like, man, what is he talking about? Just trying to understand, because the way we grew up and the way I knew church to be was one thing. But really sitting there and going through scripture and praying and asking God for clarity and making sure I'm applying certain things right, it made sense. Because he used to get a lot of, he would stand up and say, hey, I'm getting a lot of emails. Let me just approach this, address this to the congregation. It's like, listen, y'all, I understand everybody has a different set of circumstances, but I have to preach the standard. I don't want to preach dysfunction. So even though some of you guys grew up with just a grandmother or just a father or just a mother or an auntie or your brother or your sister raised you, that doesn't mean that I can't preach husband, wife, and family. Even though you didn't come from that, that doesn't mean that your future can't be that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that if you look at it from, just out of your personal lens, versus saying, because God didn't create the Bible based on Jesus. And what I mean by that is, Jesus was sinless.
Mm-hmm.
If he created the Bible based on who Jesus actually was, then we're doomed. There is no hope for us.
Mm-hmm.
He created the Bible based on the standard of Jesus, and then gave us a hope to look to. So Jesus being that standard, though we're not perfect, we're being perfected, so that when we ultimately spend eternity with him, there will be none of that in terms of sin and etc.
Mm-hmm.
When you stand up before people and you preach the standard. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna burn, it's gonna cut, it's gonna slice, it's gonna dismember you sometimes. But if you stay long enough, if you remain faithful to God's word, it'll eventually repair all of that was hurt and broken, and then put you on the track to where you're doing what God ultimately designed us to do. So yeah.
Okay. So what if, I'm guessing, what if someone went to the, because I know he said that before, someone went there and they'd be like, this is the most that I can take, and they'll leave and go somewhere else. Would you all label them as well? I mean, I'm not saying you will label them as lost or they're not going to heaven or anything like that.
Bro, church is the church you go to is a choice. The issue is people leave from some of the scenarios that I've been close to. They leave one way, and then after they left, it's something completely different. Completely different. So that means that you were there feeling this way for a very long time. Whose fault is that? That's not nobody's fault that you felt that way and decided to stay there and deal with things that you didn't feel like you had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make it, necessarily a wrong thing unless something was done that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can leave this conversation, go on Facebook, and let you have it, and you'll be looking at that post like, wait a minute. That was a good, solid, informative, wholesome, brotherly, and brothers in Christ kind. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't think that we're not saying you, I'm speaking in general.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think that happens in the church every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You could have said something in this conversation that offended me that for some reason I didn't say to you.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can go online and say, yeah, then he said this, and you'll be like, bro, but you ain't say nothing when we was on the phone.
Right.
But what can you do? So you have to pick and choose your battles, and the internet is just not one of those battles. It's not real. It's false perception presented to whoever wants to believe in that particular perception. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it simple. I post scriptures. You either believe that or you don't believe it. Sometimes I share personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My personal motivation outside of my family is these young people that I get a chance to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So I post a lot about them because I genuinely have a heart for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just. I don't know what a person can do. I'll give you another personal situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the sake of a point. Years ago, I'm talking about I've been married 13 years, so this is about 12 and a half years ago. First year of my marriage. Had no bread, doing bad, living with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my wife and my two kids. Live with my brother. No, my son. It's just my oldest son. My mother and my wife didn't get along. One night, my mom came over to my brother's house. My wife cooked dinner, but she only cooked it for me and her. My brother wasn't there. My mom got mad at my wife because she didn't cook enough for my brother to come in the house and have a plate to eat. So she decided to try to press her about it.
Mm-hmm.
They got into a little verbal spit spat. It was getting too aggressive. My mom is from like deep east Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I already know what this is about to happen. I already know what's about to happen. So I get up to get in between them. And no sooner than I step in between them, my mama comes around with that right swing. Bah! Punches my wife. What am I supposed to do in that scenario?
I have no clue.
All right. I'm supposed to defend my wife. Now, I would never hit my mother, and I didn't. But I did aggressively constrain her. She took that as an offense. You put your hands on me. Well, what, do I just sit back and let you beat up my wife? That's never going to happen. But today, you would never know that ever happened. My mom was just here for Thanksgiving, and my wife treats her like royalty, and my mom treats my wife like royalty. Because after years of praying and reconciling the situation, all is forgiven and is owed. But if somebody get online right now and say, Jermaine presents himself as this old leader of the youth and perfect family, I bet y'all don't know about his mom and his wife fighting. So what am I supposed to do? Get on there and then somebody get on there? Yeah, I didn't experience his mom. I'm like, she was here the last time. She said something she thought was cute, but it wasn't cute. Oh yeah, I talked to his wife like a year ago. Blah blah blah. She said something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? It's the internet. What do you do with that?
Right.
I would never comment on it, ever. So then some people's perception of me would change, and that's fine. Some people's opinion of me would change, and that would be fine. I'd be like, all right, cool, what can I do? You want to believe what's on the internet? I don't have to tell you what personally happened in my life.
Right.
It's certainly not 15 years ago. So it's just, anyway, I think I was just driving that internet point home, but yeah, man, it's a lot of context missing from a lot of stuff, and it's just, you kind of just gotta let it happen. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And if I wasn't clear about this, I want to make sure I'm clear about this to you. I don't have no issue with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. Hey man, if you decide to believe everything or some of it or whatever the case may be, that is your prerogative.
Right.
It's just more or less. I wanted to have a conversation because I felt like you were a person, and it's proven up to this point that you were a person that I could call and have a conversation with.
Yep.
And that's really it. But yeah, man, it's it has been tough on us from a couple of different angles. But God is good. It's just like and I don't even know how to. Part 13 was not shut down because of him, man. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. Pastor G, and I'm saying this to you because he technically said it publicly. Pastor G has been dealing with the spirit of fear all year. The spirit of fear is something that our church specifically was dealing with all summer long. Pastor G has been dealing with social media all year, and the spirit behind social media all year. And he has been specifically stating certain things in front of the church. That's why the church is still intact. Because all of this stuff that's happening, he literally prepared us for it for the last 6-8 months. Almost down to the T. 3 weeks before the stuff even started online, he got up before us and said the same thing. I can't tell y'all what to do, but I'm telling y'all that there's a spirit behind social media that I'm even realizing about myself. Do you know how hard it was just being a natural man for him to get up and announced that he was taking a social media break in light of what was going on, stuff that people kept telling him was happening online, because he has no clue what's going on online unless somebody tells him. We already knew it was going to get spent. Oh, we shut this down. Oh, he's stepping away now. All of a sudden, no, bro. As a church body, we were already dealing with that. And I wanted to post that so bad, but it's like, what does it mean? That's just my flesh. That would have gave me satisfaction. Because half of the people that believe all the stuff that's going on, they're not paying me no attention anyway. I'm nobody, and I'm grateful for that.
So anything far as like I'm guessing if Fred Price canceled it, it wasn't that he canceled. You're saying it's specifically Pastor Craige specifically canceled it himself.
Correct.
Craige, you ain't got to lie.
Okay.
I know that firsthand, because obviously I'm a part of that group of people who help make those decisions and who help plan.
Okay.
100%.
So is there any type of plan to to have this event again at his church, or is it being moved to another church, or you guys just don't know? You just following, I guess, God's leading on that.
We're listening to God right now, bro, to be honest with you. I mean, even in what we do top of every year is in January, we shut down. So that's what has happened.
Okay.
Nothing is happening in the church right now. We all fasting, we all praying, we all trying to get together for the year.
Okay.
Get stuff together for the year.
Okay.
So it's not, it just, you have no idea in my flesh, bro, because I'm human. I wanted to be like, man, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. But what would that prove? That would prove nothing. It just doesn't prove nothing. But it wasn't. Man, it was already happening. If that's the case, bro, you don't think everybody in that church is on Facebook? Don't even answer that. Just think about that. You don't think people got access to all of this information? I mean, they if you don't see it, then what can we do if you don't see it? If you don't hear it, then what can we do if you don't hear it? Meaning, like, the truth of the situation. He released it on YouTube. Look, I'm not a perfect man. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you all my personal business, because everything I do is in the public. So what I promised my wife and my kids is never to allow our public life to become what I am in the public. So we deal with the stuff that we deal with behind closed doors, and then we go. You know what I'm saying? It'd be different, and I'm being extreme. But I mean, I don't even want to say that. That's just hilarious. Let's just say it'd be different if, like, you have a public figure married, and then a public figure cheats on a wife with a public figure in the public. Like, they was caught at a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, if that was the scenario, then that'd be completely. Everybody would be like, man, come on, bro. Like, what? The only thing I've gotten consistently from this ministry, and I'm saying only thing, not to diminish the importance and the value of it. If you don't keep your family first, God views you as the worst. And the worst is an unbeliever. You're not taking care of your own, the Bible says that you're worse than an infidel. And if that ever changed, then change is going to come swiftly. And you dealing with dudes, man, these are grown. One time in my mind, and from a childish perspective, you just want to walk around and do personal interviews and just load it up up online. But then if you do that, you're taking matters into your own hand. Man, everybody can, you know what I'm saying? Like, Seiko's been married 4 times.
Hold it now.
Wait.
That's fine.
What?
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if I make a post about that, what am I doing? Shaming another man? That's not biblical.
Mm-hmm.
He got a video online when he was on the Queen Latifah show like 20 years ago with one of his ex-wives, and she accused him of abusing their child. This is on YouTube.
Wow.
So what are we supposed to do here?
Now you see now, you f***ed up, you know that, don't you?
Oh, I don't know, Jay. Maybe you can start by telling the truth. First of all, I have not been married 4 times, but in my entire life, I've been married 3. First 2 marriages when I was an unbeliever. In my early to mid 20s, both of those ended in divorce. Third marriage, technically my first marriage, because according to 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, which says, if any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. That marriage, currently now speaking, have been going strong by God's grace for almost 23 years this coming June. Second, when you mentioned that about my relationship with my ex-wife and the abuse accusations, that also, again, was when I was an unbeliever. And those were accusations, were not proven. And that was during the time that my ex-wife and I were not getting along. But by God's grace, we're doing good. But what does it have to do with Jay Bryan defending G. Craige Lewis? Not really sure. Looking kind of sus if you ask me. But how about sticking to the facts instead of assuming things without information?
So then he would take a break from taking the ministry down or whatever it is he's doing now, defend himself, tell everybody, he would do what he, I guess, wants other people to do. I don't know, man. That just is weird to me. It's weird. It's weird. Wow. But anyway, and I wasn't saying that to try to down him. I actually had a lot of love and respect for him before he started doing this crap. And I attempted several times to have a personal conversation with him just like this, whether we agreed or disagreed or came to a whatever. He wanted to do everything on Facebook, and I don't do that. I just don't do that. So once I seen that he wanted everything done in the public, I developed my own opinion about it. I lost respect for him. I sent him a text to say, hey, leave me out of it. And as far as I know, to this point, he's left me out of it. And I appreciate that because God is still working on me.
Well, I'm just from the outside looking in, like I said. I don't know. I'm from the outside looking in. I'm all the way from up here.
Right.
I don't know any of the ins and outs of any of this stuff, to be honest. So.
Right. And then you have to also, because I've asked myself this: how did you get all of this information? These pictures and these videos that you're saying that you have, and these audio receipts. How are you getting this stuff? Because to say that you're doing something in the name of God, or in the name of Christ, or in the name of righteousness, whatever he's doing it in, how did you get this information? And then based on how you got this information, how do you stand on it so firmly if the way you got it was wrong? If that's the case. Because I really don't know. I mean, if I knew, I would have told you.
Right.
Because I don't have a dog in the race. I've never tried to protect Pastor G. This man been doing this stuff way longer than he knew me. If he's this evil, conniving, manipulative devil, I just don't understand why God is, it just seems like, we're talking about a guy who's never done a public platform from the secular, you know what I'm saying? What is the game? I don't understand. If I was to talk to you, if we had a conversation about T.D. Jakes, then we could talk about him being in Hollywood. So, we could talk about what he's gained. I don't see the exchange here when it comes to EX or Pat. I just don't see it. I don't, man. And then there's another side to it that you have to consider. But when I say you have to consider, I'm talking about myself. Here's a man traveling the world, preaching, teaching, going against the most popular, and every fashion and form that you can think of, casting out demons, counseling, all of this stuff that you can think of. One person. Can you imagine the weight of that? I personally would have never asked him, and to this point I still haven't. I'm walking with him for the last 8.5, 9 years. So I know his character. So I don't have to question it. Prior to that, his wife is there. Smiling. Probably one of the most sweetest women in the world. Like, I've never, dude. And that's another thing, too. Like, it's just so many different things, bro. Like, it's just weird. The conversation would never end if you really tried to peel the onion back or the layers back of everything. It's just too much. Well, generally, women of the South are just natural. They do, the way they're raised is different. They're not raised. They're raised traditionally. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
You know, the traditional Southern woman, bro, like, it's probably every man's dream. Just the way that they, cater to their men and stuff like that.
Right.
If you were raised seeing a woman in her home, like, it's just so many different things that are just, it's like, wow. And you gotta think about the people that are being brought into it that have nothing to do with it. So if I cheat, let me ask you a question. I just want your personal opinion. If I cheated on my wife 20 years ago, right? And the only reason why I keep saying 15, 20 years is because I'm trying to make the point that it's in the past.
Right.
I cheated on my wife 20 years ago. You found out about it, and you decided to tell the world about it, and then show everybody the lady's picture, who now has a husband and children. Not only you're affecting me and a healed situation with me and my wife, but now you're affecting the woman and her husband and their kids. Why? What's biblical about that? I'm asking you as a brother in the faith. What's biblical about that?
I mean, if you present it like that, it would appear that you're trying to, I guess, fish in a sea of forgetfulness that should be kind of under the blood, I guess. I mean, that's the way that I would look at it. If you're putting it like that, I wouldn't feel that it would be right to rehash something that was in my past.
And that's all I'm saying. And I'm not, and I think that your answer was perfect. Because again, I'm giving examples. I don't know the truth as it relates to what happened, how it happened, and when it happened.
Right.
I can speak to my experience. Now, I'm not on his tip. I'm not with him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm just saying, based on what I've seen in this ministry and the men that we have, the accountability that he has, it's not the current situation. Or it hasn't been the current situation. But anyway, yeah, so I just, sometimes when I sit and think about it, and this is me, and I'm talking to you about it now, but this is me talking about it, and I haven't addressed it in 2 months? So I'm kind of like, the reason why you getting this like raw, uncut, unhashing is because this is one of the first times I've talked about it again since all of it popped up.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like, we're really not, you can't pay attention to something like that because we're human. So, like, eventually I'm going to want to defend myself, or eventually I'm going to want to say something, you know what I'm saying? So you got to detach yourself from that stuff. You know, like I said, we still get people that inbox you and stuff like that, and depending on what it is, I try not to entertain it. For my own peace.
Right.
And it's actually real life going on.
Well, I mean, like I said, I guess I'll just, I don't know, sit back and chill. And
I would just say, bro, my humble suggestion is pray for us and pray for sake on his family too, man. Like,
right.
I don't think that I do think that what he's doing is wrong, and I said that to him both privately and on Facebook when it first popped off. I think that I would have at that time I would have liked to have talked to him and got him on the phone with Pastor G. And this is before he even got personal, because once he started posting about his wife and his mom and his daughter and kids and all that other stuff, bro, like, that's too much for me. Like, yeah, you just keep that over there. I would have liked to have talked to him, so when it was just a disagreement of how he approached the Kanye West thing or accusing him of teaching something false, that's different, man. Let's have a conversation and we can all grow from it. But because he looks at me as, I guess, somebody who couldn't have done it, I guess, I don't know. Don't matter, but it would have been nice to have a regular conversation and be past it. But now, it just kind of is what it is, man.
Yeah. Like you said, I'll keep you all in prayer, and I'll just be chilling out, and that's about it. Yeah. I mean, I like I say, I'm just here. I ain't gonna get in the middle of nothing, and I'll delete everybody off of Facebook. I'll delete everybody from off of Facebook and watch this Saturday and chill out and enjoy my life, because I don't have time for this stuff.
No, I feel you, man. And again, I appreciate you agreeing to talk, and it is what it is. There's no issue from my end. I just felt, like I said, there's a couple people that I was like, you know what, Lord, I would like to have a conversation with them if, not to make this deep, like if you can just tell me, they'll be cool. Like, I don't want no drama. I still have a wife and children that I have to protect. That there's no limit to what I would do for their protection. Right. So I'm just trying to make sure that I tread lightly, keep operating in humility, and remember that I'm nothing. We're all nothing.
Right.
We're all nothing, man. And it's unfortunate because it's a guy's character being diminished and stuff like that. But we just have to, for me, I just have to just trust that God is going to avenge him in the way that he wants to. But in light of it, I think it's a lesson for him in it too. There's a lesson in it for everybody. For sure. But anyway, yeah, man, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, so
I'll shoot you my number. Let me actually get your number, like each other in, man.
Okay.
If you ever got a question or concern or anything, my line is open.
Okay.
I appreciate the respect. I appreciate the dialogue and all of that.
Okay. You want me to tell you or send it to you on the thing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, bro.
All right.